Hey everyone, Warren Dean from DataTale. Welcome to part 2 of how to build a Fabric app end to end. If you didn't catch part 1, you can check out the video here, and that's where I show you all the tenant settings, how to set it up, and I start this whole thing with one prompt. Had a few bugs, and in this particular session I'll show you how I worked through the bugs, how I iterated through the code, and show you what I've learned along the way in how to use a Fabric app. So stay tuned and we'll see what it looks like. Well, you probably could already see it on my screen, but this is version 2. So let me show you through some of the functionality and what I've got it to do. So I have added a play the decade button. This is something that you can do with a custom visual within Power BI, so I just thought I'd get that to replicate here. So that is pretty cool. We've got the spark lines. In terms of, you can see as a whole new redesign, I asked it to use Edward Tufte's design principles, and you can see it's a very low ink now. We've got the KPI lines, which is a very popular Tufte feature. Also got rid of that pie chart that was over here, and it's gone for the dot plot. So that's all working there. One thing that I don't think you can do this with Power BI is shortcut on the keyboard. So if I press G, it activates the guide. Now this would be something that I would love to do in Power BI. This would be amazing. Obviously we can do it with bookmarks, but it is a lot of work. But here you can see I've highlighted some things that I wanted to show you in the video. So yes, there's a light and dark mode, so we can turn that on and off. The decade, so play the decade, which I've already shown you. The spark lines. I've added a search box, so you can search any of the 79 local government areas. The map, I'll talk a little bit more about the map because I did have a few issues with this, but we now have a cross filtering. All the cross filtering is working. The keyboard shortcut, which I've already showed you. And obviously I added another page. I'll show you the other page. And I've added a save to council card. That is on the other page, so we'll come back to that. But so on this page, this is all working. Can I clear if I do escape? Is that going to clear the... No, let's just take that to the end. Oh, all years. So I've got the year and the month. I actually added, I didn't give it any of this context. It actually went and figured it out for itself, which is pretty impressive. But there was a towards zero strategy in 2016, which saw the crash rate go down. So I didn't give it that context. It worked that context out when I told it to research and interrogate the data. And then obviously we all know about our COVID-19 lockdowns, but it's got that in there as well. Light mode, dark mode's working. I can filter any particular year in here, or I can filter on the council. Let's have a look at the LGA Insights page. So this one is where you look at one particular council. So I live in Casey, so let's go to Casey. And oh, there we go, Gardenia worked, one in Casey work. Oh, there you go. So just to talk about the map a little bit. So I did have a lot of issues with the map because it was in Vega Lite, and it was kind of just an image. So I couldn't do all this, I couldn't scroll in and out. All these were kind of in the background as well. So there was a lot of issues in terms of the map, and so I told it to go, find me a better map. I don't want to just use Vega Lite, find me a proper map. So the map that it used is called, I had to write it down because I haven't used it before, Map Libre GL, and it's also using Cardo's free base map. So there's no API key, no anything like that. And so it works quite nice. It's got a in and out button, you can zoom right in. So I was having a lot of issues with the other map, and you can obviously vibe code this thing, but it's a lot more helpful if you can say, look, this map isn't better, use this kind of map, I want to use these features. Out of the box, it didn't know to use a proper map, and it tried to do it, I suppose, the cheapest way possible, which was to use everything for Vega Lite. And the Vega Lite map was really like a kind of static image, so you couldn't zoom in like this and get to this kind of detail with the streets and the reserves and buildings and things like that. So I think that just says it's using Cardo. Yep. Also built a save council card, which I thought was pretty cool. So you can click on that, and then you can right click and save that as an image. And it gives you a little bit of textual information down here. Again, it went and researched all this information, looked at the numbers, and then looked outside the data I'd given it for any context. So originally it was going to do this via using the Claude API, which meant that every time someone clicked something, it would call my Claude API, and then it would analyze how they filtered the screen, which is cool, but I'm not paying for that with all my tokens. So what I got it to do was pre-do them. So all these are pre-done within the app itself. I'll show you all that lives. But if I switch to, let's go back to Melbourne. The card. So it's doing comparisons of its own data. So Melbourne obviously going to have the most traffic, most vehicles, has the highest crash rate, 5.2% of the state total. But interestingly, it was able to work out that pedestrians featured in 16% of those crashes, which is double the state average. Now that's something you would expect. There's a lot of foot traffic in the city, which it's made note of as well. So this is really cool. So you can save that. I tried to make a save button, but it didn't like saving outside of Fabric. So obviously all of this is kind of locked within Fabric. You'll see there is an open button here that doesn't work yet. So I'm not sure if something is coming where you can actually open this externally or do something like that. So it's not supported at this time. So I assume on the roadmap there'll be some point where we can actually move and share this externally, which would be cool. Built a heat map, not on Melbourne, so if I go back to Melbourne. So again, look, a lot of these things I can do with Power BI, obviously, but that's because I've been using Power BI for a very long time. I know how to build all this stuff. One thing I would say is to make small changes. So, for example, when I built this card was here. So the word card was here. You have to write a prompt for everything. Like if I was in Power BI World, I would just pull the card a little bit or the text box out to the side. But here you have to prompt everything, which can be a little bit annoying. But it's not like that it's a black box. I see a lot of people saying it's a black box, you've got no idea what it's doing. You do have an idea of what it's doing, and of course you can ask it what it's doing, and it'll tell you exactly what it's doing. If you go into, so if you remember the folder we made in the first video, you can see here that there is all the scripts. Oh, no, sorry, not that one. Which one was it? SRC. So in the SRC, it has like all the content of things that you've built. So if we go queries, crashes, this is all the DAX. So if I wanted to check and look at the DAX, and we did open some DAX last time in the first video, you can see all the DAX there. Any hooks that it's used, any data that it's created. So you can see there's my LJ narratives. So all that data that it built, it lives in a JSON file, and it's so it's all there. You can see all of that. In the components folder, these are all the elements that it's built. So that's my crash map, the trends, the search box, the select box. So you can open any of these and you can see the actual code. So it's not like it's a black box. It is all there for you. It's just to edit it. Obviously, I'm vibe coding. I don't even know what language this is, but I can look at it and I can ask it to edit it. But it's not, nice like in Power BI where I can drag and drop and I can just move it a couple of pixels to the left and get it all perfect. I do have to write a prompt every single time I do something. And hopefully, if you heard me say this enough times in the first video, you really want to use that plan functionality and not just jump in between and be in auto mode and just get it to go and go and go. Write down your issues, make another plan, and get it to go. Definitely found that's the best approach. What I didn't get to work was the testing in the first video. So Playwright. You'll note that I'm in Google Chrome, and in Google Chrome here you can see this Playwright extension. I already had this installed, so I'm not sure how it would go if you started doing this without having it installed, but I already had the Chrome extension in here, and this is really great because what it does is, in my first video I didn't catch it and I just left it, but as I was in my second round and doing multiple prompts, it actually runs through and tests everything. So I had issues when I switched over from Vegalite map to map libre, where the map wasn't appearing, but it figured it out itself using Playwright. Let's see if I can find that for you. Okay, so what I got Claude to do was kind of spin up the evidence of what I did in this particular session, and so we'll get to Playwright, but you can see here, once I was done with my last video, I said spin up, review everything, and use agents who understand the technology that you've built. So I'm using React, TypeScript, and MapLibre. And so they reviewed it in terms of having a look at all the data. So this is just giving me the evidence of what I did in my particular session. And so there was some issues here with Vega Maps, right? And so it decided to switch to the other maps. Let's see if we can find, here we go, the blank map bug. So all of this is within my folder. I just got Claude to spin up the session so that I could have a look at what I did and I could have a document and a record of what I did. You can see here, this is where it was building that out. I didn't have the timeline and all the other things yet because they're not there, but it takes a screenshot, and then obviously there was no map and says the map area is empty. So Playwright is awesome. It saves, especially when you push this thing into auto mode. So after you've done your plan, then you move into auto mode so that you can just leave and let the agents do their thing. But you don't want to be sitting here and then it finishes and you look and go, the map's not there, and then go set it off again. So it can test itself. And so it was building the map had an issue. I think it went 3 times because I was still here while I was doing it, but 3 times it went through, took screenshots and had a look. And not that I understand the code, but it's telling you, what it did to actually fix it. Let's see. So it didn't fix it, and then it did fix it. Kind of funny thing is, so there was 3 agents that I sent, but I also sent a 4th agent. I called it the wow agent. So do some things that are wow, so that I can share it on LinkedIn and it's interesting. So there was a wow agent that ran around. It's decided to make the timeline What else did it do? Oh, the animate. Sorry, too late. The text annotations. So it decided to make that as well. And the report card. So that they were not my ideas. They were Claude's Wow Agent ideas. So they're the Wow Agent came up with these three things, and I said, "Yep, that sounds good. You can go ahead and do that." There was other issues that I encountered where it appeared the roads were above the kind of choropleth shapefiles, and so it didn't pick that issue up. But I had to pick that up, and it took a couple of goes to actually get them behind the color so that weren't so prominent. There was way too many roads when you were zooming in. So yeah, it fixed the layer order. And it takes, so these are all different screenshots that it took where it's, checking and looking and fixing things. These are all in your folder as well. I did see them in the main folder. So you can see there's all the Playwright PNG files. So as it's testing and checking things, map outlines, map roads fixed. So it takes screenshots, and that's for Playwright to have a look, check it. For that to work, you need to be in Chrome because you need this Playwright extension installed. I didn't really mention how I fixed the cross-filtering. This is something that never would have happened if Playwright was installed, because it would have tested that. It would have clicked an image. Actually, I probably should show that because it does look pretty cool. If I go to the first page. So you can click in here. So obviously that wasn't working in the first version, and Playwright never got an opportunity to test it because Playwright wasn't working either. But I can select a polygon and the data is going to update. So there were actually lots of small bugs, but having Playwright in obviously caught a lot of these things. So for example, I was clicking here and the line chart, because these are all kind of pre-built line charts, SVGs, they weren't updating at all because of the cross-filtering issue. All right. Next thing for me is to see if I can figure out how to share this externally. Maybe I can make like a static copy and then I can drop it on LinkedIn, and you guys can have a look and play around with it. But I'd love to know, what else would you like me to do with this? Is there anything that you would wish you could do in Power BI? And maybe this is the solution to overcome that, because it's a lot more web-based. There's some things that you would have loved to have do in Power BI. For me, this guide is super cool. Obviously, you can do that in Power BI, but it's just painful to build all these little images and bookmarks. I suppose I could do it with Claude Code. It would be a lot faster now, and it could work all this out. But I do like this. And then also, I suppose the shortcut keyboards. So I'm clicking on the keyboard and it's going straight there. I'll just theme our theme, dark theme, light theme. But yeah, drop it in the comments. I'd love to know, how do you want me to push this next? Let's see what we can do. Let's see how far we can take this as a product. Let me know. Hit and subscribe. Connect over on LinkedIn. Fabric apps, pretty cool. See you next time.